بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
ولما جاءهم رسول من عند الله مصدق لما معهم نبذ فريق من الذين أوتوا الكتاب كتاب الله وراء ظهورهم كأنهم لا يعلمون واتبعوا ما تتلو الشياطين على ملك سليمان وما كفر سليمان ولكن الشياطين كفروا يعلمون الناس السحر وما أنزل على الملكين ببابل هاروت وماروت وما يعلمان من أحد حتى يقولا إنما نحن فتنة فلا تكفر فيتعلمون منهما ما يفرقون به بين المرء وزوجه وما هم بضارين به من أحد إلا بإذن الله ويتعلمون ما يضرهم ولا ينفعهم ولقد علموا لمن اشتراه ما له في الآخرة من خلاق ولبئس ما شروا به أنفسهم لو كانوا يعلمون ولو أنهم آمنوا واتقوا لمثوبة من عند الله خير لو كانوا يعلمون.
The Masonic calendar traditionally dated from 4004 BC. The creation of the universe, Anno Mundi, as computed by Archbishop James Ussher in 1650. This was inserted by Bishop William Lord of Winchester as a marginal note in the grade 1701 edition of the English Bible, where it remained without explanation until 1900 when Cambridge University Press removed it from further editions. By the mid-18th century, Masonic usage had shifted to the Year of Light, Anno Lucis, which dated from 4000 BC. There is no Masonic significance to either date, other than a desire by early Masonic writers to create as ancient a lineage for Freemasonry as their imaginations would allow. By using the 4000 date, they could claim that their usage predated Ussher's promotion of the theory that Jesus had been born 4 years earlier than claimed by Dionysius Exiguus, the 6th century creator of the BC AD time system. The Masonic date adds 4,000 years to the currently accepted origins of the Christian era, or Year of our Lord. It is less than 3 centuries off the date given by the Jewish calendar which, in its present form, dates from the 4th century BC and counts the years since zero the creation of the world according to its own reading of the Bible. This calendar is not accepted everywhere. The Masons of the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite, and in particular those at the Great at Night Kaddish, use the Hebrew months and a calendar based on Jewish chronology, or Anno Hebraico, also known as Anno Mundi. This calendar begins in mid-September and adds 3,760 years onto the Gregorian calendar. According to the Masons, the temple is an image of the world, and the beginning of the world establishes time. This time is known as the Year of the Light, or Anno Lucis. us continue with the Masonic calendar. There are a total of 5 different calendars that are used by Freemasons. Craft Masonry's calendar commences with the creation of the world, and uses the terminal Lucius, meaning, in the year of light. To arrive at this date, they add 4000 to the common time, as the earth was believed in conventional theology to have begun in 4000 BC. Therefore the year 2007 becomes 6007. Royal Archmasons date time from the year the Second Temple was commended by Zerubbabel. Anno Inventionis, which means in the year of discovery, is the terminology used by chapters. This adds 530 to the common time, therefore the year 2007 becomes 2537. Royal and Select Masters, or Cryptic Masons, date from the year in which the Temple of Solomon was completed. It is called Anno Depositionis, which means, in the year of the deposit, and adds 1000 to the common time. Therefore the year 2007 becomes 3007. Knights Templar start their calendar with the formation of the order, in 1118 AD. Anno Ordinus, which means, in the year of the order, is the terminology used. This deducts 1118 from the common time. Therefore the year 2007 becomes 889. The Scottish Rite date the same as Craft Masons, except for the use of the Jewish chronology. Anno Mundi, which means, in the year of the world, is their calendar terminology, and adds 3760 to the common time. Therefore the year 2007 becomes 5767. The Chamber of Reflection is present only in certain Masonic rites. It's a small room in which the candidates are left on their own for a period before the initiation ceremony begins. Seated at a table, they write their philosophical will, which is later to be read out in the lodge. The initiate is alone with a sheet of paper and a pencil. The Chamber of Reflection is lit only by a candle, which casts its feeble light on a number of ornaments, a human skull, some bones, a lump of bread, a flask of water, an hourglass, a saucer containing salt and another containing sulfur. On the wall are murals painted in white on a black background, a cockerel, a scythe, and the word vitriol, or vitriolum, which is the ancient command to examine oneself. The chamber exists in the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite and continental European Lodge, but not in the emulation Rite.
How do we penetrate years, centuries of historical distortion to find original truth? Tonight, this will be our quest.
Throughout the ages, the ruling elite have known that man is not alone in
It is important to note that we are currently covering the fundamentals and historical aspects of Freemasonry. We will reach a more in-depth discussion about the craft at a later stage. This series hopes to cover all aspects about the subject matter, including but not limited to Freemasonry, the Kabbalah, black magic, the Illuminati, atheism, the Jinn, and Zionism, just to mention a few topics. I do hope that you will be patient and focused to be able to see the bigger picture that I hope to be able to illustrate towards the conclusion of the series. With God's blessings, let us continue. Let us begin by defining a few terms. Operative Masons are the early stonemasons, more famously known for building the Gothic cathedrals, abbeys and castles of Europe. However, the first Grand Lodge of Speculative Masonry was founded in London in June of 1717. The Freemasons began to accept what is known as Speculative Masons, or in other words, ordinary people who did not possess any of the stonemasons' knowledge or building construction abilities. Outsiders, or non-Masons, are labeled as profanes by the Masons. The reason why Masons use such a condescending term for non-Masons is because they do not possess the knowledge the Masons do, simply put.
And the star on his skin?
Pinnacle.
And its meaning?
Pinnacle is a pagan religious icon.
Devil worship.
So where does Freemasonry originate from? In the Cook manuscript of 1410, one of the oldest known texts which deals with Freemasonry, we read that, at the time of the construction of the Temple of Solomon, begun by King David, Solomon employed 24,000 Masons, and Solomon confirmed the rights which his father David had bestowed upon the Masons. Solomon himself taught them their methods, that is to say their traditions and practices, which are not very different than the rituals and rites practiced by today's Masons. Operative Masons who read this text saw it as a historical truth. They believed that they were applying a craft which dated back to the time of King Solomon, and which he had codified. However, the date of the construction of King Solomon's temple has not always been the key date in the Freemasons' cosmology. This central role was once given to the Tower of Babel, the Regius manuscript, which predates the Cook manuscript by 20 years, cites King Nimrod, the builder of the famous Tower of Babel, as the first and most excellent master. He it was, and not King Solomon, who gave the Masons their first charge, or in other words, their first rites, rituals, and practices. Masonic text known as the Thistle manuscript of 1756 says that King Nimrod created the Masons and gave them their signs and terms so that they could distinguish themselves from other people, or the profanes. It was the first time that the Masons were organized as a craft.